will be a value-added program to provide both mentoring and, I guess, menteeing, to provide an opportunity for people to both be a mentor or to have a mentor. And actually, I guess you could do both. Now that I think of it, you could apply for both. So I welcome all of you. Some of you have had a hand in this. I'm going to actually bring up screen, if I may be so bold, and begin our presentation with an introduction to Fresh Ideas, a mentoring program for Wheaton Chamber members. So a little history about this program. The Ambassadors Club really refined its mission, and I'm going to turn over and ask Dale, I'm going to turn over this dialogue to Dale Showalter, who is president of our Ambassadors Club. And Dale, just sort of bouncing off this slide, can you share a little bit about the history of this program?
Sure, thanks, Vicki. First of all, I'd really, this was a team effort, you know, in terms of getting the Ambassador Club taking the time to look at what we have been doing over the past many years. And so we were in the process of redefining how we were going to operate as ambassadors. Ambassadors were usually older members who have been through the board process. They either were a president or they were a vice president or an officer or part of the board, and now they've moved on. And the main function of the mission of the ambassadors was really to help members connect and get all the benefit that they possibly could. So originally what we did was follow up with new members every month, and then we would go to ribbon cuttings and do some networking there and try to get the new members connected. We've acted as discussion leaders for different chamber events. We would be the leaders of those things. But we were realizing that with COVID, you know, you can't do too many ribbon cuttings. And we were really kind of losing touch with people. New members weren't that many. And we really wanted to bring value to the chamber. So we redefined our mission of we still keep the three things I just mentioned, but we added the mentor program. The mentor program, I gotta say, the ambassadors latched onto it and wouldn't let go. And we had a committee, a task force actually, and that got renamed MAD, M-A-D. So if you ever want to know, we're MAD. It's the Mentor Advisory. There's a Mentor Advisory Directors. But anyway, Donna Teagle and Deb Brown, Sandy, who's on driving, and don't look down, Sandy.
Don't look down.
Rick Erickson, and we need to really be thinking about Rick today. He lost his 97-year-old mother just a few days ago. So Rick is at a wake this morning, so he couldn't make it with us. But I think the one thing that really gave us momentum was that we had a new president of the chamber who had a lot of experience with teaching mentoring and really helped guide us through this process. So we really appreciate Vicki coming on board and giving us some direction for that. And that's really gave us the push that we needed to really get this thing up and running. So that's a little bit of history for me.
Thank you so much, Dale, and thanks for the acknowledgement. Amanda helped in the early days, and we've been working on creating a structure around this so that we have something of value, again, a value-added program. This isn't something we're charging for. There are companies that charge for mentoring. There's a company called Mentium that's all they do is they match people. So there is value in education, training, knowledge transfer, relationship building. There are all kinds of reasons to do a mentoring program. And the outline that I'm going to share with you today, that we're going to share with you as a task force, as a commission, a committee, a subcommittee of a club, is just a simple framework, so that those of you who are interested, some of you have actually already submitted your applications, and you can do those already by going online, and we'll have more information about that in a moment. So let me continue. Can you see what is a mentor? Is that the right slide?
Yes.
Okay, great. What is a mentor? So the word mentor, I think, is bandied about a lot. I think sometimes people use the term mentor when they mean a boss or a coach, but it's a very specific role, and it goes back to this is the one time in the business world where it pays off to be an English major. Because the actual word goes back to the Odyssey, right? The Iliad and the Odyssey. The son of Odysseus, who was called Telemachus, was tutored by Mentor when Odysseus went off to war. So those of you who were had to read the dreaded Iliad and Odyssey for high school or college, Odysseus went off to war. The one man he trusted was this older gentleman, and that was who he left his son in charge of. It has become a model for passing on wisdom from one generation to another, or from one person to another. By the way, it does not have to be generational, from elder to younger. What it typically is more experience helping someone with less experience. And if any of you saw that hilarious movie, The Intern, with Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway, he's literally an intern and he's learning technology, and it's a sort of a reverse internship. So it is first and foremost based on a trusted relationship. And that's why we think the Chamber is an ideal platform to build these mentoring relationships, because people come to us as a resource to each other. And again, there's trust when you meet with people over time, you maybe serve on a committee. I always say that volunteering at the Chamber is like a Broadway audition. You show up and people see, you get to audition your gifts and abilities. Do you do what you say you're gonna do? Do you show up when you say you're gonna show up? Those kinds of things. So where there's trust, there is then a connection between those two people. And through Chamber membership, we're looking forward to helping you build that trust. So the goal is really to provide support for member businesses who may need guidance or support, to create a program that allows members to support each other and offers an opportunity for members to share their wisdom and expertise. And again, I caution you to not assume that all of the wisdom and expertise goes to the mentee. It's often, mentors have expressed, I know people who have done mentoring, who've been mentors and feel like it's like volunteering at the Chamber. Sometimes you feel like you get more out of it, or any kind of volunteering. The more you do, the more you get out of it. So that wisdom and expertise is, as Donna Teagle shared, an exchange. It's not just a one-way street. When we were building this program, she wanted to make sure, and I think that really helped as we're designing this program, to make sure that it is seen as there may be someone with more experience, but these are members who have just as much to give each other. And then again, to continue to foster relationships that can contribute to business and professional growth. So for instance, if somebody is new in business, let's say they've been an engineer for many years and now they need to market a business. Miguel, I'm not pointing you out, but just in case, to learn about marketing, to learn about strategic planning, to learn from I know that the first thing I did when I became a full-time business owner was I joined the Chamber, because I knew if I was going to be successful in a business, I needed to hang out with other successful business people. And I think that's the the energy and the connections that happen when we are doing the work of the Chamber. So again, we wanted to design it in a way that would provide a structure for success. We are not here to control those relationships, but we are here to help generate them, to create the matching, the spark that brings two people together. Our role is to invite members into participation, and then to support you along the way if you choose to become a mentor or a mentee. And by the way, attending this information session, you are under no obligation. This is strictly to give you information so that you can make a powerful choice. So we're here to support mentors and mentees throughout the process, and that may mean managing concerns along the way. So let me share with you the timeline, how we see this rolling out. So today, obviously, is our introduction. Applications will be available through October 30th, and then we're matching by ambassadors. The MAD committee will be doing the matching on November 3rd. Mentors and mentees are connected on November 4th, and that will be, as Dale mentioned earlier, when we were meeting, that'll be a private, like it's not going to be a list. It's not like you know, homeroom. It's going to be just one person at a time. We'll let you know who your mentees are if you've applied to be a mentor, and we'll let you know who your mentor is if you've applied to be a mentee. And then we'll have an orientation on November 11th. What are the responsibilities of a mentor? You can see our illustration there is somebody with really big ears. You must have big ears to be a mentor. First of all, the structure that we've created, and this is open to your interpretation and your design and commitment, I guess I would say, excuse me, is to make at least 1 hour per month available to your mentee. So that doesn't seem like a lot, but it also is sort of the, I don't want to say the requirement, but it's sort of like the minimum monthly allowance is 1 hour of exchange per month. And then we're asking you to make a commitment for up to 6 months, up through 6 months. We're probably going to be doing these mentoring matchups twice a year, maybe more if there's a lot of demand. But for now, it's a 6-month program, so that would be no Math Whiz, but I have worked with Matheson Moisty Austin for a while, and that would be 6 hours in 6 months, right? That would just be an hour per month. So your role really would be to listen to and to ask questions. I think through asking questions, it helps people understand what it is that they want to share, and then to offer opinions and resources when asked. Now, I know that seems kind of maybe redundant, like why would somebody be a mentee if they didn't want your opinion? But oftentimes, here's what we want to guard against. It all began in a log cabin in Valparaiso, Indiana. That's my story, right? And we don't want our mentees to become prisoners or what's the word? Cornered by their mentor who has lots of stories to share. I think there's an opportunity to say, how can I help you with this problem? Like what would you need? What do you need from me? We're assuming that they want ideas and resources. That's why the mentee has signed up for the program. But oftentimes, and this is actually something I learned in the coaching world, I would have a client and I would say, are you open to some coaching? Now, coaching is different from mentoring, so I just want to be clear about that. But again, a mentor who's filled with wisdom, they may think that this wisdom is helpful when in fact, what the person really needs is a listening ear, or maybe they do need an introduction. Maybe they do need, a website that they can go to. But I think there's a respect involved in saying, how can I be of service? Like, what is it that you're looking for, and how can I help you? The responsibilities of the mentee, and believe it or not, this first bullet sometimes gets in people's way. It's your job as a mentee to schedule at least 1 hour per month with your mentor. Now that may be, it may feel not scary, but people may be intimidated by that. If the mentee is young and inexperienced, why are we asking him or her then to be the one to actually do the schedule and follow up with the mentor? Maybe I can open it up to you all and ask you, why do you think that's important? This is the unmute yourself, jump into the conversation part of today. Anyone? Bueller.
This is Miguel.
Got some skin in the game.
Skin in the game, great. Miguel.
Accountability.
What else?
Well, the mentor they're really helping out the mentee, so it's on the mentee to make sure that they're taking the initiative to go that half of the way in the journey.
Yes, that's great, Dr. Joshua. It is really the idea that, and you use the word initiative, in many ways, it's a safe place to practice, right? It's a safe place to practice being assertive and asking for what you want. Again, there's no there's no hierarchical thing that one person is better than another, but there is the idea that I'm asking for something from you, your wisdom and counsel, and in exchange, I will set those meetings up because I have a lot to gain and I have a lot to learn. And as someone said, I have skin in the game. I can't see everybody on my little thing here. Who said that? Skin in the game. Linda?
Jen Bistry did.
Oh, Jen, thank you for saying that. Glad you're on the call. So, so they also need to be committed to 1 hour per month per six months, right? At least 1 hour per month. I wouldn't think you'd want to be too aggressive, you know, a day per week or something like that. But the 1 hour per month is sort of like the minimum monthly requirement. And then to come prepared with questions, to be able to share your questions. And this is a big one. Listen and take notes. Taking notes implies you're hearing, you're listening, and this is something that you're not going to forget. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to be like a reporter. You don't necessarily have to take notes throughout. Sometimes it's just a great conversation, and maybe you're bearing your heart to your mentor, and your mentor is able to respond. So, but what I mean is somebody gives you resources, you want to honor them by like actually acknowledging that you heard them and that you're going to ultimately follow up. And that's the last bullet, is report back what you learned. If a mentee comes with the same concern or complaint 6 months in a row and hasn't done anything that the mentor recommended, then to me that's a breach in the relationship. That means that they're not really interested in learning. They really just want someone to complain to. And that's why, going back to that slide where we said we're here to manage your concerns, we're not here to manage the relationship. But let's say that you're a mentor and your mentee doesn't make those calls. Or let's say that you're a mentee and your mentor never calls you back to schedule the calls as hard as you've tried. Then we can help maybe smooth the waters. I wanted to say run interference, but that's not really the right term. It's more like smooth the waters, open the door for communication, and help people get connected. And if all goes asunder, then we would match, we would recreate the match. If the mentor or the mentee, whoever was the one showing up, if they still wanted to be part of the program. And I want to not warn you, but I do want to set the expectations that this is not like a perfect model. People are people. I had a mentor relationship that went very south, very sour, even though we had a lot of structure around it. And I had a mentee who wanted me to mentor her and just never, after one coffee date, just didn't call back, even though I had told her I was available. So, but I've had other great mentors, and I've also mentored people. So, it's like any relationship where there's, there are bound to be some areas where we want to make sure that, people are in communication. If they get out of communication or if there's a misunderstanding. That's why this model is so simple. It's pretty easy, right? An hour a month for 6 months, and then just respect each other. And I think for the mentee, the biggest responsibility is to share what they've learned and how it has helped them. So what it isn't is it's not meant to be free coaching or counseling. It is not in an advisory capacity. So those of us who are consultants or have ever worked in a consultative capacity, that's a business. That's what many people do for a living. It's not meant for somebody. Let's say somebody has a business coach. The mentor this relationship is not designed to replace that relationship. It's meant to augment it and support it. And again, it may just be somebody who has the wisdom, who's walked that path before, understands your industry or understands what you're up against, and is able to share with you. It's also not a commitment or an obligation to use someone's services. That was actually the bullet point that had my mentoring relationship go south when I was the mentee, because I did not send some business her way, this person's way. And that was never my understanding that was our relationship. So it was really, it was a hard pill to swallow, because I treasured that relationship. And then as it turned out, this person wanted it to have a commercial capacity to it. It doesn't mean you can't cheer each other on. We're here at the Chamber for commercial reasons and for, to build our businesses. But being a mentor or a mentee is not an obligation to use those businesses. What success would look like? Now, please understand, it is a pandemic. Relationships are forged and strengthened, both parties learn, and each one walks away with new insights. And they may contribute to their business or just life in general. So it's a somewhat, I want to say like an artificial, only in that it's, built by us. It's a framework for us to learn and grow from someone else, again, whether you're mentor or mentee, and then to apply that to your business and hopefully to your life. There are people that mentored me that I'm still in contact with, and vice versa, people that I have mentored. So I would like to open it up now to our testimonials. And I know Dale is on the call, Don is on the call, and I invite any one of you to also share a testimonial that you may have. I shared maybe a darker version of what mentoring can be when there aren't this, isn't a structure around it. Like I said, I've also had some really wonderful mentors, and I wonder if Donna, if you are able, let me make sure you're here, and there she is. Donna, can you share about your experience in the realm of mentoring with all of us?
Sure. I had a more casual, kind of like a friendship, not a formalized mentor relationship with somebody that I was, we referred business back and forth for years. And so this is a little bit anecdotal, but I remember one time we were just doing a call to catch up, to set a time to get together to discuss stuff. And I was complaining. I was driving to a customer's. There was a lot of stuff going on. And she said to me, you know what? You need to get happy because nobody wants to buy from an upset person. So, your mentor can call you out pretty sharply, but she could totally get away with it because we had spent time, built trust. And so I took that with respect and put a smile on my face and went in and sold a job.
There you
go. That's how it works.
That is great. Boy, those are words of wisdom, right? And you never forget them. You never forget them. Yeah. How about you, Dale?
Well, for me, I don't know that I ever had one particular person that I met with on a regular basis, but after I'd been roofing for 25 years, I knew how to roof, but I didn't really know how to run a business. And my business was growing, and I was getting more and more employees, and they wanted to move up the ladder. So I joined an organization called the Alternative Board, but the mentoring that went on there is I met with other owners of businesses, and they taught me about spreadsheets. They taught me about setting goals. They taught me about mission. They taught me all of those kind of things that we could bounce ideas off of each other on a monthly basis. So that's been my experience in terms of business. I would have wished for somebody that I could have met with on a regular basis, one-on-one, but this served that purpose. But I have mentored young men all my life, not necessarily in business, but just in life. And I talked to Sheila Caldwell at the last luncheon that we had, of that I have at present am mentoring a college student, a senior in the business department, who asked me if I would meet with him, which was a requirement for the course. But this young man does everything that we talked about in this presentation. He comes every week with questions. He has his pen and paper out. And so, for example, one question he asked me just recently, he says, "What do you think are the qualities of a good leader?" And so he was really thoughtful in all the questions that he asks when he comes. And that's critical for mentorship for me. When somebody comes like that and has specific questions that they can get addressed and then follow up on the next time, that's really important. And we met every week, but that's because it was for his class, but he wants to continue it on. And we're not going to be so rigid in this that if you've developed a tremendous relationship and you're in the middle of your progress, we're not going to say, okay, 6 months, shut it off.
Right.
We will evaluate each relationship, but we also want to provide a stopping point and a celebration point to say, this is what we gained from this, or it's time for me to move on because I got help with that thing that I needed with. Now I need help with something else. So as you can see, it's still in process.
Thanks for bringing that up too, because one of the things that I learned in studying mentorship as well as teaching it is that it's important to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's why we have it as a 6-month program, or a 6-month commitment, I would say, because at the end of 6 months, there's no obligation on either person's part. And we will have a structure for celebrating, because there's something about celebrating the relationship that frees both parties then to perhaps become peers. I had a mentor who I ultimately, because he taught me about consulting, I ultimately became a consultant, and then we were peers. And he was, delightful as a peer, but he tended to still want to mentor me. And sometimes it's sort of like you got to let the little birdies fly. You got to let your mentees go. It was interesting. One of the books that I had recommended to our committee, and I will have a bibliography if you're interested in learning more about just mentoring as a topic in both corporate and nonprofit worlds. But the idea that, sometimes this book said that sometimes it's harder for the mentor to let go of the relationship, of the formal mentoring relationship, than it is for the mentee, because they like being in that position of sharing their wisdom. So in that case, we'll just get you another mentee. Or again, you can keep going, off, like if that relationship continues to grow like Dale's has, that's something that you can do. I wanted to share a quote from Bridget Hivert, who is our chairperson of the Women in Business. She was going to try to patch in later on the call, but I did ask her for a quote. We were in the office. I don't know if you saw in our Monday Matters a picture of her that I took with her mask on in front of because we actually met in the office, but using all of the physical distancing, 6 feet apart, masks for both of us. But she got so excited when she talked about this mentor that changed her life. So I asked her for a quote. And I know you can all read a slide, but because it's a quote directly from Bridget, I'm going to read it. The mentoring I received literally changed my life. It actually went well beyond the coaching of growing a successful business in direct sales. Bridget is aligned with the Mary Kay Cosmetics Company. It helped me in my everyday life with relationships and even mothering my child. That's the thing I mentioned in our one of those last slides about it. Hopefully this is a contribution to you, not just in business, but in life. When you have someone that you feel truly believes in you, and that it's not all about the money, you can achieve enormous goals and accomplish things you never thought possible. She wrote that up for me. It gives me goosebumps to read it. I want to open it up to our group here. We have a wonderful group of people here. If you would like to introduce yourself and then share your own experience of mentoring and maybe what are you looking for from this program, I would love that. So feel free to open your microphones and or if you want to raise your hand. So it's and I'm going to actually for a moment stop sharing so we can see each other. Is there anyone who'd like to share about your mentoring experience or what you're looking for in this program or what you've gained in the past?
Hi, Vicki.
Hi, this is Mike.
Christine.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Christine and then Mike. Thank you.
So I just wanted to share that I joined this topic today because I wasn't sure whether I wanted to be a mentor or if I wanted to be a mentee. I mean,
Yeah.
I really feel that there's always learning that we can be doing and improving. And so thank you for providing this forum so that we could learn more about what this program is through the Chamber. I will say that I did have an opportunity last year, probably 2018 really, where I was mentoring a younger person in graphic design. And our sessions were probably about twice a month, so every other week for about an hour, and that was working out great. But I will say that it kind of tapered off in the end because we didn't have like a set let's go for this long and then reevaluate and see what, what we needed to do next. So it kind of just tapered off into nothingness.
Yes.
And so I feel bad about that, but anyway, I can see that, having, a timeline, gives you a point at which you can evaluate, celebrate, stop, or continue, to just make sure that both parties are getting something out of the relationship. So I really like that aspect of this program.
Thank you, Christine. That, like I said, it was surprising to me that it reminded me of I used to lease office space from an attorney, a guy that some of you may know, Matt Caruso. He's a business attorney in Wheaton. And I rented an office in his building. And one time I came down, I was just kind of chatting about, a situation where I knew someone who was in a partnership, but they were carrying like 95% of the workload. And Matt said something that I'll never forget. He said, the most important part of a contract is the exit clause. And I thought, oh, that is a great insight. How much do I owe you for that? And it's true, it is an exit clause. And the other thing is, part of this program is, if it isn't working, don't tough it out for 6 months. Let us know, and we will, again, we're not going to interfere, but we'll help with communications and maybe quickly realign people, because this is meant to be joyful. It's meant to be a learning experience, not not anything that's onerous or, it's just meant to be a contribution from one person to another. Mike, what were you going to share about your mentoring experience? I know Edward Jones, I think has some very specific programs designed for mentoring. Do they not?
We do. We just kicked off a mentoring program that I was a part of this past year, and it is great. Similar concept. There is an end to it, so at least you have a way to celebrate your successes. And I've also been in informal mentoring and mentee positions throughout my career at Jones by being in someone's office and also having people in my office. So I think that this program is just great for the opportunity to get out there and just share new ideas and celebrate those ideas as well too, and put a cap on it as well. So thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
If it doesn't break any intellectual property rights, we'd love to see your curriculum.
Yeah.
If nothing else, the bibliography. I could steal borrow the bibliography. Because I do think it generates more questions, that we have about, how does this work? The other thing I learned when I jumped into teaching, like with I had no right, but I did it as adjunct professor at Lewis University, and I taught this class called Coaching and Mentoring and the distinctions between the two. And the mentoring, one of the things I learned about mentoring that I thought was really interesting was, in an ideal situation, and again, this is like textbook versus real life, some mentoring relationships are very informal and they're never declared as such. But in this book, it said, typically a mentor is not your direct report. So in the corporate world where you have, lines of like an org chart, I had a boss that I considered to be a mentor, but in order to mentor someone, and this goes back kind of to Jen, what you said about something has to be at stake. In order to be a really good mentor, nothing should be, there should be no agenda. And again, going back to the one that went bad for me, the woman had an agenda. She wanted referrals from me. And that's not required. In fact, it shouldn't be on the table. The mentor comes to the relationship. The only agenda the mentor really ought to have, I always say don't should on yourself, so it's not like they should or shouldn't, but that really their commitment is just to be available and then to share what they know and what they've learned. Again, in a way that the person can hear them. So there shouldn't be a quid pro quo. There shouldn't be any kind of a, that kind of a commitment. So let me go back to bringing it home. So next steps. What are the next steps? Visit our chamber website, fill out the application by October 30th. we'll announce those matches on November 4th, and we will be reaching out to you. Let me ask at this point if there are any questions. I also have one more slide, closing credits before we, I don't want to lose this. I forget my last slide. The ambassadors called Dale Showalter. I call them delegates, but directors, I think you're right. Our MAD team, Deb, Rick, Sandy, Donna. So thank you all very, very much. And thank you to those of you who are on the call. Let's just open it up now and let us hear any questions you may have, any comments for structure. Maybe we've missed something. We've tried to keep it as simple as possible so that people aren't overwhelmed by it, and that it is truly a contribution to all of you, each of you.
Are the mentees coming in with, are they signing up for it, asking for specific help, or is it just, I'm new and I would like to talk to somebody with some experience, or is it specific questions?
It's both, Linda. There's an opportunity on the mentee, and you're welcome to open up the mentee application, which is right now mentor application, and you can get to that just by going to our homepage. Doris has put it up at the top of the list of the little boxes of events, and so you can't miss it on the homepage. So click on mentor application or mentee application. The mentee application has a question. Well, let me pull it up. Doris, can you pull it up and share it? I'm putting her on the spot here. Escape. I have to escape over here.
Doris, you're muted. We can't hear you. I can't read your lips either.
Let me see. Oh, it's a race. It's a race.
What the heck? There we go. Was it the mentor or mentee application?
Mentee.
Okay.
Mentee.
That's the one.
Well, so
Your screen.
yeah, I got it. Sorry, I got it.
Okay, there it is.
Here we go.
There you go.
Sorry, I put you on the spot there. So here we have, this is the mentee application, and you click through to the registration for today, and then this is there. But I think the links are also on the website, are they not? Doris,
Right now they're only on the event page, but I'm going to change it so that makes,
We're moving them over so that everybody can have access to them. So it says after all the data, all the demographic data, in a few words, please describe your business. What are your greatest strengths? And by the way, we put these questions together. These were contributions from our MAD team, as well as we looked online to see what some other mentoring programs do. Where would you like to grow your area of expertise? So that probably, Linda, in answer to your question, is there a specific challenge you'd like to focus on with your mentor? And then we asked, would you like to be matched with someone within your industry? So, you know, somebody who is in an arts capacity but wants to learn about business, you know, they may want to be connected to somebody in banking or finance. So, and then we've asked them to please describe their ideal mentor. What qualities are they looking for? And then I'll just go back and share the mentor application, which is right here. Have I lost you, or are you there?
No, I can see it.
we can see it.
The mentor. Yeah. Because sometimes when you close and go back and forth, it closes out. So here's again for the mentor. Please briefly describe your business background. Have you ever had a mentor? If so, please describe the experience. What did you learn? Are you now or have you ever mentored anyone? And then please describe your mentoring experience. Describe your ideal mentee. And we asked a broader question, what does mentorship mean to you? So that was really designed to tease out someone's expectations, like what are they looking for, and you know, how would it be then meaningful to them? And you know, it may not make everybody happy all of the time, but I think this is general enough that this will give us some scope of how to match, and that will be the role of the folks on the team, the MAD team.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a question, Vicki.
Yes.
I was wondering, how would you handle if you got too many mentees and not enough mentors, or vice versa, like a lot of mentors and not enough mentees? What if the applications weren't an exact even match?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, or at least the last time I saw them, they were, which is kind of ironic. But I think if we have, I would think we would just go recruit, and ask people. So for instance, if a mentee wanted experience in a particular area and somebody hadn't stepped up to the plate, we may reach out to someone, who is a member and ask them, even though they didn't come to the intro or it wasn't on their radar, to let them know that there's a need and would they be willing to fill it. The thing about, and this has really been rolling around in my head since I accepted the role of this wonderful Chamber's president. So much of the work that we do is dependent on volunteers. And what I've learned about volunteering, both at the Chamber as a volunteer, and then in other areas of my life, like church or clubs, is that people love to be asked. They love to be asked. And so sometimes it's just empowering enough people to make enough asks. And really asking all of you, our powerful ask of you is to share about this program with the people that and see if there are people out there. Our goal is to be of value to you as Chamber members. It's been a really challenging year for all of us, and as you can imagine, chambers are looking at ways that we can offer value that aren't necessarily event driven, and we know that. I mean, I look at this spectrum of faces and I see people that I've known and loved for 20 years. So these relationships go deep, and they go, they are important, not just to us as business people, but as people, people who are involved in making a difference in human relationships. And Donna, I've seen Donna raise her family. Christine too. I think I was telling Christine about visiting Alpha Graphics when it was still on Front Street. And what, Christine, you were just a mere girl, were you?
So Vicki, could I address that too? I think that I agree with the whole recruiting thing. I think that if there is a specific ask for a specific kind of mentoring, I mean, we can do that, but there are some people out there that maybe don't even think of themselves as a mentor, but other people do. Yeah. So that's where the recruiting comes in. But there is also the fact that some of us who are older and retired, I mean, we can do more than one mentor at a time, mentee at a time. 1 hour a month is not a whole lot of time, but so there are lots of ways to handle that, Christine. I think that so we're all about recruiting.
Yeah. Thanks, Dale. And we also understand that it's a new program. It may take a while to get some momentum going and some results. And we have a great open rate for our newsletter, but not everybody opens it. And so we're supplementing with postal cards and other things to get the word out about our programs. And, some of it is it just takes momentum, time and over time to develop momentum. But I'm so appreciative, and we are so appreciative that all of you are here today. That shows that there is interest, and we are getting applications. I don't know our current count, but they're starting to roll in. You have till the 30th. If you have questions between now and then, please contact one of us. Start with Dale, I guess, as the chairperson of this initiative. We're here. I'm now full-time, so I can answer your questions throughout the day. And anything else, anything that anyone wants to say about, by the way, as far as the application goes, if you think of something that would make it better, let us know. We can, this is, I think you said it earlier, Dale, it's iterative. We're going to be designing this and improving it as we go along. But hopefully someday, maybe other chambers will look to us and say, hey, we heard we have a great mentoring program. How can we jump in? Donna, should we admit that we started with a wonderful outline that it turned out was for juvenile delinquents?
Yes, that was a really, really great data source. Yeah, we had to do a lot of scrubbing to make sure it wasn't there.
We had to do a find and replace. When it said juvenile delinquents, we had to put in beloved chamber members.
Although we felt it kind of appropriate, so.
It was. We had fun with that. So there are great mentoring programs out there that we've, kind of picked and chose from, and then again, tried to design it in a way that is the simplest, simple yet elegant, having a lot of power behind it. The power of these relationships, these potential relationships, is amazing. And Mike, you can probably attest to that, seeing that through your own Edward Jones connections. As people grow their businesses, it's evident that other people have contributed to them.
Yeah, and I would just like to, speak again to Christine's comment earlier about she was trying to figure out if this was going to be, if she would want to fill out the mentor or the mentee application. And I have to say, sometimes we need both in our lives a lot of the time, so if you have a specific need right now, then you fill out the mentee application. Maybe you switch to the mentor next 6 months or something like that, or vice versa, just depending on where you're at with your thoughts and if you have an immediate need. And they can it's fluid. You can always switch depending on the cycle.
And nothing says you can't apply to both if you have the bandwidth, right?
Yeah, do both at once too.
Anything else? Dale, I'm going to turn this back over to you to wrap it up, if you don't mind, to give us our benediction.
Does this to me all the time.
Well, because you're the sage. That's what I like to call it.
Oh, gosh. I'm sitting here thinking, wow, this is very relaxing. I don't have to think about it. Well,
all you have to do is bring it home. Bring it home.
I really appreciate all of you showing up. I would say that this would be a success if we had 2 or 3 pairs, to get us started, because we're looking at this for the long haul.
Yes.
We're looking at this to say, okay, let's get a few successes, and then those successes will be our advertisement for the future. So, we're not looking for this to be, oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. That happened a long time ago. But we're looking to get it off the ground, make sure that we are doing our very best, listening ourselves to how the program is going, making adjustments as we go. So your input is invaluable to us as we move forward, because we're just trying to help all of us make it through and be more successful as both people and as businesses. How's that, Vicki? Did I do all right?
Sounds great.
Great
Sounds
job,
great.
Dale.
Yes, Jeff's giving you an applause there too. And as I have one friend who is both a dear friend and also a businesswoman, and reminding me, it's a pandemic. We're in a pandemic. So this is really, we're reaching out to our members to provide the support that we all need during and after a pandemic.
Yeah, that was it. That's interesting. You ended with the pandemic. I can give you a corollary on that.
Okay.
It seems like emotions are going crazy, both in our businesses and the world. And one gentleman at the end of a meeting says, "Why is everything so intense?" And the guy says, "It's the emotions, stupid." Everybody is emotional. Stop being emotional. Take a breath.
Right, take a breath. Take a walk. That's what I'm learning. Every time my cortisol spikes, I go take a walk. So thank you all so much for being here. Thanks to Doris and Amanda for supporting this endeavor behind the scenes with me. And of course, thanks to our wonderful ambassadors and the mad men and women of the Ambassadors Club. And please reach out if you have a question or a concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much.
Thank you.
Bye.